Assalamu alaikum, I'm Aisha and you're watching Samar News. Here are today's headlines. US President Donald Trump has signaled that the United States is set to complete its main objectives in the Iran conflict within the next 2 to 3 weeks, describing the measures as necessary to neutralize Iran's threat to regional and global security. Speaking in a prime-time address, he warned that US forces would continue aggressive operations against Iranian targets. Trump told the nation that US forces had delivered swift, decisive, overwhelming victories during the past 32 days of strikes. He added that the temporary spike in US gasoline prices was a direct result of Iranian attacks on commercial tankers, not the US strategy, and criticized allies for relying on oil from the region. Meanwhile, Iran has rejected claims by President Trump of decisive victories, calling them false and misleading. Officials in Tehran say the country's military capabilities remain intact, with senior figures including Mohammad Javad Zarif dismissing the remarks as empty rhetoric. Iran's military command has also warned that the United States and Israel have not destroyed its core defense systems. The exchange comes as missile attacks continue, and the conflict enters its 5th week with no clear end in sight. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has warned the Middle East is on the brink of a wider war, urging the United States and Israel to halt the conflict. Speaking at the United Nations, he said the crisis is worsening, with growing civilian suffering and rising risks to global stability. He also cautioned that disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz could drive up food and energy prices worldwide. On the other hand, Iran's army commander-in-chief, Amir Hatami, was quoted as saying by state media that the country's operational headquarters must monitor enemy movements with utmost pessimism and accuracy and be ready to counter any method of attack. US President Trump has said the Iran conflict is nearing completion and could end within weeks. State media quoted Hatami as saying that no enemy troops should survive if adversaries attempt a ground operation. Meanwhile, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian has addressed the American people directly, urging them to question whose interests are truly being served in the ongoing US-Israeli conflict against Iran. In his open letter, Pezeshkian highlighted the human and strategic costs of the war, asking whether attacks on Iranian infrastructure and civilians align with American priorities. He questioned the destruction of hospitals, pharmaceutical facilities, and other civilian targets. The Iranian president criticized rhetoric from US leadership, including threats to reduce Iran back to the Stone Ages, calling such actions counterproductive and damaging to America's global standing. Russia is ready to contribute to resolving the Iran conflict, and President Vladimir Putin is continuing to talk with regional leaders. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said that the president is continuing these contacts, and if their services are somehow required, the country is ready to make a contribution to ensuring that the military situation transitions to a peaceful course as soon as possible. Peskov was responding to a question about US President Donald Trump's speech to the nation about the Iran war, and his separate comment that he was considering pulling the United States out of NATO. Britain has said it will host talks aimed at forming a coalition of countries to explore ways to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, after US President Donald Trump said securing the vital waterway was a problem for other nations to resolve. British Foreign Minister Yvette Cooper will chair the virtual meeting of about 35 countries, including France, Germany, Italy, Canada, and the United Arab Emirates, around midday in London, to explore ways to restore freedom of navigation in the area. The United States is not due to attend. 8 Muslim-majority countries have strongly condemned Israel's move to pass a law making death by hanging a default sentence for Palestinians convicted in military courts of deadly attacks. A joint statement released by Pakistan said Pakistan, Turkey, Egypt, Indonesia, Jordan, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates also emphasized the urgent need to refrain from measures that risk further inflaming tensions on on the ground. And 4 astronauts have blasted off from Florida on NASA's Artemis II mission, a high-stakes voyage around the Moon that marks the United States' boldest step yet toward returning humans to the lunar surface later this decade, in a race with China. NASA's Space Launch System rocket, topped with its Orion crew capsule, roared to life just before sunset, carrying its debut crew, 3 US astronauts and a Canadian astronaut, into Earth orbit. The 32-story tall space vehicle thundered into clear skies, trailing a towering column of thick white vapor. That's all for now. For more updates, visit www.samar.tv. Thank you for watching Samar News.